Thangs! Welcome back to my channel, where we're gonna listen to spooky stories and eat some really yummy food together. Guys, I'm so excited. Today we're gonna be talking about haunted houses. This was like my first interest in paranormal. I've always been super intrigued by haunted houses. Not that I want my house to be haunted. Let's get that straight. Today, we have Subway. We have a tuna sandwich with all the fixins, some Dorito chips, and a Dr. Pepper, of course. Let's get into our first bites. Alright guys, if you're ready to jump in, get your favorite snack, get a cozy blanket, and let's get freaky guys. Let's go.
Hardly anyone knows it, but Windfall, Indiana exists. It exists in such a way that when you're there, you feel like you're in a completely separate world. No shops, no restaurants, no anything. Just a gas station, a bar, a post office, and some dirt roads. It has an energy to it, like you can feel a thickness in the air that offsets your intuition. It makes a human being's natural senses spike, like an animal who knows a predator is nearby. At least that's how I personally feel about it. The entire place is off-putting. The people aren't much better either. I was only 13 when we moved there. My older sister was 16 and my younger one was 12. Both of them did considerably better than I did, socially at school, and I was often left by myself at our new home. Mom was working quite a bit and often stayed after hours. She said it was because we needed the money, and I'm positive we did, but I think it was more so to keep her mind off the divorce. The new house was small, a 3-bed, 1-bath with a dining room and a living room. We had a fenced-in backyard and a muddy lawn with an old tree sagging over it. It was the dead of winter, and as a 13-year-old girl going through her first of many depressive episodes to come, I submerged myself into the internet. I came home every day to an empty house, made myself a snack, and planted myself on the couch to get lost in a YouTube rabbit hole until my eyes hurt. We'd only lived in the house for a couple weeks, but I was beginning to adjust to a new life. Sure, I didn't like Windfall, but I wasn't afraid of our house. School was miserable, but I cherished my time to myself. I felt as if I was getting a small taste of the adult life 13-year-old me was so eager to have. I wasn't scared to be alone, until I caught sight of him. Sometimes in my YouTube crusade, I'd get distracted by the TV and my laptop screen would fall asleep. I'd look down and jiggle my mouse and get back to it. But this time, there was a small shape standing behind me, in the doorway of my mom's bedroom. Just a short apparition with noticeably spiked hair. He didn't move, but the hair on the back of my neck stood up straight and my skin began to break out in goosebumps. As quick as he appeared, he was gone. I hadn't turned to face him, but I knew in my heart it had to be a little boy. I wasn't afraid of him. The house was old, and I felt that maybe he was just curious. I didn't get the feeling that he was bad or that maybe I should fear him. He'd just surprised me, was all. It became normal to see him. Most times he was in the reflection of my screen. Other times I'd look up and see him leaning against the doorway of the dining room. He was never in color, only a black shadow that faded away as soon as I blinked. I didn't want to tell my sisters or my mom. I'd been getting horribly bullied at school nearly every day, and I felt if I were to say something, they'd make fun of me or simply call me crazy. I didn't want them to think I couldn't handle being alone. Either way, he was harmless. At first. Soon he began to peer closer to me, or things in the house would fall over mysteriously. Cabinets would slam shut, or the TV would turn off. Curtains would sway as if someone had run their hand through them. I'd just blare my headphones and stay put on the couch, staring at my laptop and praying that somebody, anybody, would come home. I'd see him and my face and palms would begin to sweat. I started to feel like maybe the curious spirit maybe wasn't so innocent. Like he was teasing me or pushing his limits to see just what he could do to instill fear in me. I'd never tried to talk to him or communicate, and quite honestly, I had no interest in trying. The first time I ever saw him in detail, I was in my bed. My little sister and I shared a room, and I had top bunk while she was on the bottom. I began to wake in the middle of the night, sweaty with my heart racing. Each night I'd look over the railing of my bed and see him standing in the dead center of my room, staring at my little sister as she slept. He could have only been 7 years old. He was skinny, and he had a red plaid button-up shirt tucked into black pants. He had spiked, bleach blonde hair and pale blue eyes. What stuck out about him was how white his skin was. He looked nearly albino, yet his lips were a shade of deep purple. I'd be too afraid to close my eyes or to even breathe. I'd wake in the nights to come, holding my eyes shut because I knew when I opened them he'd be there. Some nights, my sister wouldn't be in her bed because she was still young enough to want to be in Mom's bed. He'd still just stand there, staring, not acknowledging me or letting it be known that he knew I was there. But I knew he knew. As I kept this secret, our household began to fall apart. My sisters and I were constantly fighting. My depression was worsening and self-harm crept into my daily life. My mother began to drink heavier, and in fits of rage or sadness she'd say things she didn't mean.
Guys, that was so sad. Unfortunately, I have heard that negative energy can come towards where trauma is. And that's just so unfortunate. I feel so bad for them, guys. Time for the next story.
Hi. When my kids were 4 and 9, we moved into a house that was haunted. I could feel the negative energy everywhere in that house, but mostly in my kids' room. Once, right at 4 a.m., my 9-year-old son shook me awake and was just standing there crying and shaking. It took me about 10 minutes to tell me what was wrong. When he finally told me what was wrong, what he told me scared me to death. He said that while he was sleeping, he woke up because he felt his comforter at his feet being pulled up and down. And when he looked, the comforter ripped off of him and flee across the room. I had him get into bed with me for the night. But after that night, this ghost tormented and scared my kids every day and night. My kids were able to see, hear, and feel him. It turns out that it was an old man. He literally pushed my 4-year-old off of the top bunk of the bed. These occurrences happened every day. It was terrifying because there was nothing I could do to protect them. Every day when they went to school and I was home alone, I would close their bedroom door and put on music so I wouldn't hear noises, as this ghost liked to walk around and move things. One day while the kids were at school with their bedroom door closed and the music on, I went outside for 2 minutes, and when I came back in, the music was shut off and their bedroom door was open. No one had been in there besides me. One day my son, who was 4, was in the shower and he started screaming, so of course I ran in there and he was crouched down, crying and staring up at something. One night he was crying in bed before everything had really started, and when I went in and asked him what was wrong, he said he didn't want to share his bed with anyone. I told him there was no one else in his bed, and he pointed and said, "There's a man right there." One day only my other son, who was 9, and I were home, and I saw the curtains being pulled back and forth in my kid's bedroom, so I went in to tell my son to stop playing with the curtains, but he was sitting across the room watching TV. One night I went grocery shopping, and when I got back, no one was home as my ex-husband had taken the kids out. Well, I pulled right up front of my house, and a really bright light was flashing inside the living room. I just thought someone left the TV on. When I opened the door, the light stopped, and it was pitch black dark in there. Nothing was on. My kids went to the bathroom with the bathroom door open for years, even after moving, because this old man would flush the toilet all the time while they were using it. We had the TAPS team come out and do an investigation, and to try to get some advice of how to get this old man to leave. And they did catch some EVPs of him talking back to them. He even said, "I'm dead." They unfortunately couldn't catch anything on video because both of their video cameras went dead, and the batteries from them immediately drained even though they charged both cameras fully before coming. I never was able to get this man to leave, but we did move, and luckily he didn't follow us. I didn't know that spirits knew they were dead until that EVP. We has to move to get away from this man.
It's so sad, but they always go for the little kids. It's like, leave the kids alone and stop being so creepy. Time for the last story.
My uncle, a wallpapering expert, and my father, a skilled carpenter, teamed up for a project. an old white Victorian house nestled in the quiet seclusion of rural Connecticut. For my 13-year-old self and my 11-year-old cousin, this was more than just a renovation project. It was an open invitation to explore our fascination with the supernatural. This particular house felt like hitting the jackpot. The property sprawled across several acres, boasting a built-in greenhouse. Further out, a dilapidated shed leaned at the yard's edge where the forest began. Even without any ghost stories, the entire scene possessed a certain eerie charm, which is a quality often found in the old homes of the East Coast, to be honest. Left to our own devices, we approached the back of the house at kitchen entrance. A basement door loomed wide open by the entrance with an immediate unwelcome vibe. A certain sense settled over me, a feeling that something resided here, and it wasn't exactly good. Despite the thrill of quenching my curiosities, the urge to remain in yard for the rest of the afternoon was almost overwhelming. But my cousin was too bold for this. As we ventured deeper into the house, a profound dread came over me, each step feeling heavier than the last. My body seemed to resist the house. My cousin, meanwhile, was claiming to hear things and became fixated on exploring the attic. Honestly, I was already beyond done with this place. Even my 13-year-old brain registered that this was not a good place. All I wanted was to do was go sit in the car. We made our way up to the attic, and to my relief it had been renovated. Despite the lingering unease, it wasn't the least bit creepy, visually. There was even a small TV, which I turned on, sitting on the floor in front of it. But my cousin's attention was snagged by a closed door. She stood before it, completely still, her gaze fixed. Now this was an 11-year-old who was usually a whirlwind of energy, constantly talking or making sounds, so her sudden silence spoke volumes. I tried to ignore it, but then she grabbed the knob and began yanking on it, but the door wouldn't budge. So logically, it was likely an unfinished storage area, so the wood was probably swollen shut from moisture. Looking back now, though, I think I was wrong. I stood up to help her. The door was genuinely jammed. But she became almost frantic. Her insistence on opening it was bordering on aggression. It was super disturbing to see her like this. I started pulling with all my strength, and the door finally gave way with a strong burst. I fell backward, still gripping the doorknob, as a sudden powerful gust of wind swept over us, whipping our hair back. My cousin screamed, a sound of pure terror, frozen in place, her eyes wide. By the time I regained my balance and rushed to see what she was seeing, there was nothing. But I swear, her sheer terror was real. This particular room was the true attic, unfinished with splintered wood, random old antiques scattered about, and a grimy old window. Upon looking in, an intense wave of nausea hit me. I slammed the door shut without a second thought. A primal fear surged through me, and I immediately scooped up my cousin and bolted down the stairs, out of that house and into the yard. Even now she won't tell me what she saw. She just laughs it off and changes the subject. It leaves me constantly questioning, was that terror just a figment of my overactive imagination, or was it something tangible? The feeling was so intense, so visceral, it made me physically ill. I don't know the history of that house, but deep down in my soul, I feel that something truly awful happened there.
Trust your gut, guys. What did you think of those stories? I feel so bad for people who have to live in a house that's haunted, or if you ever encounter scary paranormal things when you're not looking for it. I feel so bad. Guys, comment down below if you've ever experienced anything spooky or paranormal. And like this video, guys. Or if you have lived in a haunted house, send me your stories, guys. Send it to my email. I'll drop my email right here. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me for another video. Today was a short one, and I'm gonna go finish my food downstairs.